unfortunate so far. I think that's pretty much the outlook. So although it's not a real super extreme prediction, it's kind of normal, but above normal chance for fires to get big and be destructive. But really normal for us is kind of, we should always be headed up. For normal for us is pretty much, you can always have a fire that gets big this time of year, especially in spring going into early summer. And then we may get some good relief if we go into a wet monsoon. So, and if you guys want to get have any questions or want to get more into this, there's some more of this stuff where you can go through at your own pace. And there's some other PowerPoints that Chuck, I have his name up there, Chuck Maxwell, our predictive services guy, puts up that kind of takes you through how they do their methodology. So I can give you the websites later on. But do you guys have any questions or comments of what you guys have been seeing, where you're at?
Some questions, Dan, about all of the logs and stuff that are on the ground. How do we get that out of there? How do we clean that up? How do we remove that stuff?
Well, I think it depends on where you live and how much property you own.
Right.
So you can, you can go clean it up, cut up the big logs and remove them. You know, if you live at a place where you put them at the roadside where they picked up by the grapple trucks, that's one method. Another method, if you have a lot of land, like you're the forest, we'll buck up in certain areas where we're thinning, as well as thinning the live trees to thin out the forest and make it healthier. We will buck up the dead and down as well to a certain point and pile that, and then when it's safe to do prescribed burning. So a lot of people will do that. A lot of the ranchers will do that. They'll take their dead material, along with thinning out their juniper trees and the cactus, and they'll pile it up, and then when the grass does green up during monsoon season, they'll burn it.
Are you doing any prescribed burns? Or has the weather not been?
The weather has gotten a bit too dry for most of our prescribed burns. The only thing that we have is we have some piled trees from the Little Bear Fire up at the ski area that still has a lot of snow. So as the ski season winds down and there's still snow, so we may burn a couple of piles, but for the most part, we're in the same boat. We're going to wait till monsoon season before we prescribe burning around in Lincoln County. Kind of ran a little bit over, so if there's no other questions, I'll
And I just, hi everybody, I'm Erica Andrade, I'm the forest manager at the Mescalero branch of forestry up on the reservation and work for the Bureau of Indian Affairs. I just wanted to make a comment about all of this in our line of business as far as fire goes. We don't do anything without knowing the weather, so everything that he's presented is very important on how we do our planning, our staffing levels, when we start our seasonal firefighters. All of this is really important. It might be seem a little dry for some of us to sit here through, and there's the weather guys on fires are always the most interesting characters because they always get so into what they're presenting, but it's really an important part of our job. And the discussions about drought, it's an indicator for us about fire activity, and I think Dan had mentioned that is a lot of our trees out there in the forest, because of the sustained drought, even though they're alive and green, they're actually really dry. And we have a lot of areas on the reservation, I'm sure across the forest as a whole, that have seen trees die due to that drought stress. But because of the live fuel moisture being so low, it creates a very volatile fire activity environment for our firefighters to work with. And I think the past several years we've heard feedback from the firefighters who are saying, wow, we didn't think this fire was going to burn like that. Because I think this drought has just gone on and on and on, that these models that people use to model fire behavior aren't accurate anymore. That's just my personal opinion, but it's just based on the feedback that we've been seeing from the field. So whenever we do stuff with fire and looking at the fire season, we always start with the weather, because it's such an important part of laying out what we're gonna be doing and what we're gonna be facing for the next year. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you for adding that, Erica, and thank you, Dan, for setting this up, because, you know, our intent is not to scare. You know, obviously, the weather conditions are not good if you don't want big fires. But, you know, the purpose of these seminars are to educate. And so the next part of our presentation tonight will be, when that event happens, then what do our officials do for the village and the county and the state and federal? What do they do? And how does their process work? And then also, what do we as citizens need to do, you know, to be prepared and then to help with that? So I'm going to turn it over first to Harlan Vincent, and he can introduce the other speakers. Harlan is, of course, the Village of Ruidoso Fire Chief.
Which everything, if you notice, I'm packing a little extra weight, and it's just stress weight because of stuff like this. It's all stress weight, it's not any bad stuff. Anyway, what I've done is, we're going to talk to you a little bit about the Ready, Set, Go program. We're going to talk to you about the evacuations and how they come about. And we've asked Joe Kinmore to come in and talk about some of the Little Bear stuff and the flooding that happens. And whenever we do have some flooding, then what the procedures are for anyone that lives in the county or in that general area in order to make sure you get out and you get out safely. So first of all, I'll turn it over to Joe Kinmore. He's the Emergency Services Director for Lincoln County.
Joe Kimball. Thank you all for coming. The biggest problem that we've had with the flooding, and we fortunately had a little heads up with this from the group from Flagstaff that was part of the top one team with the Little Bear, was the fact that they had had the Schultz fire and the Schultz flood, maybe probably less than a year before that. And they helped pass this on to us. And the key thing that we took from that was clear out the waterways, clear the waterways. Don't wait until you've got water in them, clear the waterways. Within 12 days of Little Bear, we had people out, we had a team formed, and we were clearing the waterways from the Bonito and the Ruidoso through the valley as best we could, and through the area of Lincoln, and that way, because the Hondo or the Bonito and the Ruidoso actually converge, as well as Eagle Creek going into the Ruidoso. And so the cleaner we can keep it, the water goes downhill. Unfortunately, we let it go to Roswell. We couldn't keep much of it. But the other part of it is, it's not clogging up here somewhere where it builds up such a mass that it breaks and goes and tears a lot of stuff up, takes out bridges, takes out stuff that's hard to replace, that FEMA doesn't come in and take care of. They only take care of the infrastructure, and that's hard for people to understand, but that's a part of it. So that being said, if you got anything within 100 feet of a waterway, it needs to be cleared away. One problem that we had even back in the 08 flood, so a lot of people had car bodies and old trailers and stuff parked near waterways, and it picked it up and it washed it down to a bridge. It held up against the bridge until all that water built up, and then it took the bridge out too. Those things we have to think about. The other thought is, when you know that flooding is imminent, and we fortunately and unfortunately do, the Weather Service stays in real close contact with us during most of these times, especially with the burn scar closed. But know your way out. know where high ground is. That might be all you need to do. And maybe you don't even need to leave your house, but know that you don't need to leave your house or know where high ground is. And if you need to leave your house, and this kind of falls to the Ready, Set, Go program, so I'll leave that, but know what you need to take, and we'll discuss that in a bit. But it's the same, whether it's fire or flood, it's the same. But this is really important, and again, I can't stress enough the cleanliness of the waterway and how much better that it all flows and goes right on down rather than staying and doing the damage that it could do. We noticed this past September the 9th through about the 14th, here in the county, we saw several inches, somewhere like around 8 or 9 inches in those 3 or 4 days that really came down. So we really didn't have any major flooding problems because we'd had the Little Bear from the year before, and the people had a knowledge of keeping stuff clean and cleared out. And we were very fortunate. I don't think that we really had it. There were some low water crossings that had problems, but there were no major issues with water that we've seen in the past. So I think that again, the guidance from the Little Bear Type 1 team from the Schultz Fire and the Schultz Flood gave us a great heads up, and so we will take that. The other thing I would like to talk on, and I'll answer questions about any of this, is our Code Red system. Code Red system covers the county, and if you have a hardline phone, if you have a phone that has a 257, 258, anything that's not cell, I guess is what, a hardline phone, we have that number in the system. If you have a cell phone and you want to call or a text, or if you want an email, go to LincolnCountyNM.net. Go to the Code Red site, and it will allow you to sign up. It will allow you to get a text, a phone call, and an email. If you just have that cell phone, of course, again, the call will come through, but you must go to the site and register if you don't have a hardline phone. That is a must. If you have any problems doing that, please call my office, and that's 336-8600. 336-8600. I'm glad to guide you to that. If you need to come out and we sign you up, that's also fine. But that is something that's very important, and it's proved very, very helpful for everything, whether it be a fire or a flood or most anything else that we could know and give information about. The USGS has been really great for us with the flood in the fact that they put 5 rain gauges up on the mountain. If I got a ping from the one at Runnels Stables Saturday night into Sunday, and they got 0.39 inches. What it tells me, I get to set it at what I want to get an answer for, what I want to get a ping off of, and it sends me an email as well. There are 5 gauges, one up Buck, one up at Monjo. There's one at the Runnels Stables. There's one at Bonita Lake, and there's one up at Blue Front Trail and Crest. So, and they're still active. So it's very convenient, and I'm very pleased to see that I can get that still, because that knowledge saves us all a lot of running around, and especially me. So with that light, it makes it good. I don't have a PowerPoint, and that's really what I brought tonight. If there's any questions I can answer, please. And if there's anything you'd like to do, if you want to call me, if you go to LincolnCountyNM.net, and you go to that website, if you look under fire services, you can find my office and those phone numbers and anything you need. I will be glad to answer any questions I can. Thank you. Yes,
Joe,
ma'am.
I noticed on that website the other day, there's actually an app you can download too for
Yes.
your Droid or your iPhone too. So
Yes.
I did that. That's
There-
cool.
Okay, good. And Code Red has been really good to us as the county in the fact that if there's a storm, I mean, literally, if there's a storm, I may get a call from my representative from Code Red and say, are y'all doing okay? Is there anything I can do? And they're in Florida, but they watch the weather and they know, Moore, Oklahoma had Code Red. They failed to use it. And I'm not putting any blame on them. It probably happened so fast that they didn't mesh the possibilities together. Moore, Oklahoma had Code Red. So we try not to use it a lot, but we also want to know that everybody's getting it that needs to. And we have the opportunity to send out calls. And the nice part about, the other nice part about it, the system is to send a text or an email costs us nothing on that system. The only thing that costs us the calls. And it's minuscule for what it, for the quickness that it does it. So it is an outstanding system.
Have you ever done a countywide test?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, most every year, and we're coming up to that point again. So we try not to make it long, but we hope everybody picks it up and listens.
Just a quick comment. I'm Tom Rollins, I'm with U.S. Forest Service here. I'm actually in wildlife, but this summer I've worked with USGS folks that were here working on predictive modeling for flood events post-wildfire. And they were establishing some data sets around the Little Bear Fire. And a lot of that is going into predictive modeling around wildfire and flood events. And so if you want some more information on USGS and their approach, I've got some information too if you want to come by the office and contact me. We've got a couple handouts on debris flows and those sort of events that can occur quickly around wildfire events.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, now I'd like to introduce Sergeant Harrison. He's with the Ruidoso Police Department, and he's kind of the guru of our notification system. And I'm going to let him explain that, and then I'll go into a PowerPoint, because what he has to say is really important as far as Ruidoso. And a lot of our systems are kind of redundant, you know, our 258s and all that stuff. So hopefully we can work off of each other is the reason that I'm saying that. If something happened with the counties, then we can pick them up. And if something happens with ours, they can pick us up to where there's redundancy built in there, where there's no technical difficulties on something like that, because we need to get your tails out of there as quickly as we can. So I'll turn it over to Sergeant Harrison.
Thank you, Chief. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
I know I'll eat something, it's getting late, everybody's gonna fall asleep. I'll throw something at you. But, no, again, thank you. My name is Dale Harrison, and yes, he said guru, I'm like a nerd. You know, I handle this kind of stuff. I handle the emergency notification system for the village of Ruidoso. So how many people in this room have signed up for the emergency notification system? That's not bad. You see this number I wrote over here? 3,285 as of right now is how many people are registered in our system. And so, you know, Village Hall says that they have about 8,000, a little over 8,000 plus water bills that go out every month. So, you know, that's about the base population. And we all know how much we get into on certain weekends. I'll get into this in just a second, but the notification system is great. And like Joe said, it can be a redundant system. If you live in Ruidoso, or some of our close outlying areas, you can sign up for this system. And I don't know why a lot of people don't. You know, I'm sure there's a little bit of conspiracy theory thrown in there that, you know, now you're giving all your information to the police. I promise you, we don't use it for that. We have several unmanned drones that we do that stuff. No, but it doesn't contain any of your critical data. It's just your name, your phone number, your address, your email address, a cell phone number just in case, so we can contact you. And then it's all kept by you. You're the administrator of your own file. All we do is process it. And so what will happen is, in the event we get a fire, or we get a flood, or something really bad is happening and we need to notify you, we will activate this system. And what's really cool about it is we can do it just for specific areas. We can do it village-wide. We can do everybody all at once, or down to one person. It's kind of hard to see up here, but this is a map that we came up with a couple of years ago, and this was conceived and born in the fire department, and we adopted it and sent it to college. So this is what the final result was, and you can see here in the gold. Inside the gold is the village of Ruidoso. And we're like, okay, well, if we needed to get some people evacuated out of a specific area, how are we going to do that? What's the best way? How to figure out all the streets? So on and so forth. So what Harlan came up with is a clock design. All right, so we did it into 12 different sections, and then each one of these circles that you see that goes out concentrically is 1 mile. All right, so that allows us, because I'm sorry, there are only 25 people wearing this blue uniform in your town. All right, and that's all you have. So until we can get other resources in and so on and so forth, and there's only so many of those that are at work when that happens, and so it takes a little while to get everybody going. But we can see that, let's say a fire started, over here by Village Hall and was going out this way. We would know that we need to start evacuating zone 1A, zone 1B, 1C, 2B, so on and so forth. And any random pattern that you can imagine. And what's another great thing about the system is that when I get my little nerd hat on and I go sit at my computer and I start looking at this stuff, the chief and many other people that make more money than I do, they tell me, it's like, hey, this is time. All right, this is where we need to go, this is what we need to evacuate, this is what needs to be said, this is who you're going to call, so on and so forth. So I take all that in, and then I can draw a pattern, any random pattern, whatever the need may be. And it can go out in any shape based upon what's happening, and I can call just the people in that area. So if you're signed up for the system, and you see that, oh yeah, man, there's a huge fire, and it's on the other side of town, they're going to call me any second now. That may not be the case. You may only get a call if a fire or flood or something affects the area that you are in. So please don't think that, I didn't get my information in right, the system's not going to call me. No, it's not necessarily that. It's that, we may be pushing out 4,000 phone calls, and we need them to go to this area, versus, the whole thing, and so on, it kind of gets bogged down. But where you can register for this, you can go to this website. It's www.callmeruidoso.com. All right, it's pretty self-explanatory, but if you need assistance with it, or because there are intricacies to it, I get a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, and people saying, the system isn't finding my address. I live on Meander. How is it not finding my address? I'm in the village. I mean, I couldn't be any more in the village than that. And well, it's because they added the drive at the end of their address, the DR. And the system, it has its flaws, and so when we just leave that off, it pinpoints it exactly, and it registers within another 10 seconds. It's a great system. And for the Code Red, you live anywhere in the county, you can register for Code Red as well. But if you live within the village, or specific areas that we cover with this system, you can register with us. All right. Now, a good thing about it is you don't have to be home to get the call. This doesn't have to be your primary address for you to get notified about something. If you have a second home here, or if you have family that lives here, your parents live here, your children live here, and you want to know something's going on, you register with their address. As many people as you want can register for the same address. You just have to have your own unique email address. That is the one thing. And if you don't have an email address, you don't like email, you don't use it, I understand. We can basically create you a ghost email account that you'll never have to use, you'll never have to check, but it allows you that one time to get registered for the system. And at that point, we can call you anytime, you know, just like theirs. It'll send you an email, a text, it'll call your cell phone, call your business phone, your home, wherever you may be, anywhere in the country, it will dial. It doesn't matter what prefix, area code, anything. It will call you wherever you are. Now, it will try you a couple of different times. And one of the failures that we have noticed when we've tested the system, or you know, we've had emergencies, we talk to people, it's like, did you get the call? No, I did. I got some weird phone number from Tennessee. Well, that's where they're from. So if it comes up on your phone as like a 631 or whatever the case may be, and you answer it, the other thing about their system sounds just like you owe somebody money. You know, or they want to sell you a new TV. It does. They sound like telemarketers, and you've got to get through that first initial phase because they're like, this is the emergency notification system. You know, some people don't listen to that. They're like, oh man, I'm busy. I'm at work. You know, so what I can tell you is that we test this system every quarter. All right, we will do a village-wide test, and that's coming up very soon. So when you get this, you'll see that number come up on caller ID, most likely. What I would do is you can save that in your phone as ENS, or Emergency Notification System, because it will always be the same number calling you. So that way you know, oh man, it's not my relatives that want money again. You know, anything like that. You'll see it pop up. It will tell you, this is a notification system. To continue, press 1. And then it'll have the message in English and in Spanish. All right, your choice. So and then it will tell you the message. It will ask you, do you want it repeated? You know, so on and so forth. And it will try you. If you don't answer your phone, it will try you again in about 2 to 3 minutes. If you don't do it then, it will leave you a message. Because we get these reports back when the whole thing is over. It says how many people ignored our phone call, and they don't like us, and we're now taking them off the Christmas list. How many people answered it? How many people listened to the whole messages? How many people hung up on it? You know, so on. It gives us all this data. So, and that's what we're finding is people are just kind of hanging up. They're like, oh man, I don't have time for this. You know, but it might be important. Now, this system is not going to save your life. Okay? It is up to you to do that. If you get the call, you need to act. You need to do something. This is just an early notification system, if it can get to you. Now understand, this is technology, and it is subject to failure. So don't let this be your crutch. Don't let it be the only thing you ever do to prepare for what is inevitable. You know, sign up for this, sign up for Code Red, pay attention to the radio, listen for the sirens, do all these different things. You know, have a bag ready, you know, with all the things that you need to go. Have a plan, know what you're going to do, so on and so forth. Don't wait. You know, one of the biggest things we have, you know, during some of our fires is there's 60 people lined up at the gas station, trying to get out of town because they were on E. You know, doesn't stand for enough. You know, you've got to prepare yourself. You know, I mean, during fire season, keep it half a tank. You know, it's just a little common sense because if you need to get out of town to the next gas station, fill it down there. You know, so little things like that. Again, what we did is we made this map. Now, this is kind of nerdy and it's mostly for cops and firefighters. But what we did is we took it and we made it into books because cops love books. You know, especially if there's little pop-up stuff, things that you can read, but little coloring areas. But we did this, and so it's divided. Each one of these sections that you see up here, there's 60 of them, are all divided into these large books, every page. Understand that we will not give up on you. All right? If something happens, we will come to your door. Okay? It may not be pretty, half of us may be melted, but we will get there. All right? Now, if we tell you, look, this is here, this is happening, it will be here momentarily. You know? We get a lot of people who are like, I'm not leaving. Well, you know, in absence of you committing a crime, I can't make you leave your house. All right? But, you know, a little common sense. You know, it's like we're not here just for the fun of it. You know, we're trying to get you out because we may not be able to come back if we have to go to the next door and then we have to get out and we have to set up roadblocks. Nobody may be able to get into you after that point. You know, each one of us has this, and it's just kind of to let you know what we are doing to try and better the way that we can help you. and keep you safe. And that is the point of it. So, with regards to evacuations, we may come around, we go door to door. If you're not home, we have special paint. We're gonna mark out on the street, on the sidewalk, that you know what, there was nobody home. Nobody answered the door, or actually you're refusing to leave. Whatever the case may be. We may ask you if you decide, I don't wanna go. Sorry, you can't make me. Okay, it may ask you for your dentist. What's the name of your dentist? That may be the only way we can identify you.